everybody. It's Monday. I want to thank everybody for joining. We have some new members today. I want to say hi to everybody who just joined today. So let me go back and check. I want to say hi to Tech Spec. I want to also say hello and welcome to, hold on, I'm scrolling. I want to say hi to Ethan Hammer, Calvin S., and I think that's it so far who's joined fresh today. Oh, someone just joined. Hey, Mr. Depar. I like your avatar. It's so nice to see everybody today. We have some really interesting stories to go over. Also, my King of Staten Island review is already up. I'm supposed to be getting the Artemis Fowl screener this week, the embargo for Artemis Fowl. Hey, Jaden Lopez. The Artemis Fowl embargo lifts on Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And I'm still waiting to hear on Defy Bloods. I think they're being really careful about that because it's an Oscar contender and they want to make sure it gets good reviews, maybe. But Netflix is usually pretty like, here's the screener. So the fact that they're being protective of it is interesting. Hey, Cozy Jam. That's a great name. Also, later today, I have a WandaVision video going up. And then tomorrow is a very big day for videos. There's a Bill and Ted 3 trailer, which I'll be reacting to. And then, because the new comic book day is Tuesday for some reason, hey, Joey, Punchline will be debuting. Punchline will be getting both. Her first big appearance in Batman 92. Hey, Frank Dominguez. And then also the Joker anniversary special comes out, which will have her origin story. So I'll be covering Punchline tomorrow as well. So a lot going on. Hey, Famous Amos, I love your cookies. So really good stuff happening. As you can see, we have 3 stories to go over today. Very good stories. Although, you know, BTT member and viewer Marjorie wrote me a note. And she DM'd me, and I really appreciated it. Marjorie, I'm not sure how long she's been watching. I know she's a Mortal Kombat fan because she wrote me about that prior to that. And she said, you know, I know we're getting back to news as usual, but I hope that doesn't mean that we're going to lose sight of all that we've accomplished over the past week or so. And I was like, totally, Marjorie. We're not going to forget that. That's, of course, very important. You're seeing some legislation that was introduced today. A lot of big stuff going on. It's very important. And even though, why is the volume so high? Sorry if I've been deafening anybody. So, you know, even though we're returning to, you know, classic movie news stories, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on the situation. And I hope that we see some developments, some really good developments. I've always been very much, as I said yesterday in yesterday's live stream, I've always been very, very much in favor of diversity and representation. I feel very strongly that entertainment should reflect its audience, and the stuff that we talk about in particular has a very diverse audience, and it's always frustrated me a little bit. There wasn't more diversity, for instance, in comics. So I've always been, you know, a champion of this, so I'm going to continue with that. The change I would like to see is that I don't get hit too much for championing diversity. Every time I make a video talking about diversity, there's always at least 1 or 2 people in the comments who are like, why do you care, Grace? And I think that this week has really shown that. So it's definitely something that we're all going to still focus on, even though we are returning to having, you know, movie news stories. All right, so the way the stream works, for those of you who are new members or just new to watching, you don't have to be a member to watch. These streams are open to everybody during the pandemic, but only members can comment. So anyway, the way this works is that we'll do a little intro. In a moment, I'll ask everybody where they're streaming from so I can do some shout outs. Then I'll do the 3 stories of the day. And then at the end of the stream, for the final 10 minutes of every stream, you can ask me anything that you would like. And if you're watching not live and you're like, oh, I want to just jump to the story I'm interested in, I do put a visual marker on the screen so you can see where I am, and so you can go to that. All right, so thank you very much for joining me today. Where is everybody watching from? Let's do some quick shout outs. I like to see where everybody's coming from all across the globe, and also what you guys are up to. The Movie Lover said, just presented my short film to my class in Vancouver. Congratulations! Hey, Jeff Petaway, thanks for joining. Joseph's in Detroit. Anna is in Phoenix at work. Oh, we won't tell anybody. Cameron Cox is also at work in Provo, Utah. A lot of you guys are returning to work. Oh, hey, what's happening there? Blue Tattoo is shaving their head in Minnesota. Good for you. It is hot right now. It's very, very hot. Let's see here. Somebody, I know that person just joined. Mr. Daper says, Mark Dublin in Ireland. Val is in West Palm Beach, Florida. Christiana says, taking a break from working on financial docs in New Jersey. You need a break from that, definitely. Although your emoji scares me. That's always the emoji they put up when they're having technical difficulties on YouTube. So I'm forever scarred by that emoji. Let's see here. Lloyd is curing a hangover with wildlife documentaries in Virginia. I've never heard of that cure before. I'm glad it's effective. Braden is streaming from beautiful sunny Colorado. Landon says it's Studio City weather is quite nice right now. That's lovely. Czech Film Fantastic says it's boiling in Ireland. Juan is in Buenos Aires. Let's see here. Alvaro is from hot Guatemala. Troy says it's a sunny day in LA. I like there's still a smile on your face, though. Dallas says it's snowy in central Utah. That's nuts. Max is watching from Leeds, England. We spoke to someone else from Leeds yesterday, David, so that's funny. So you have another BTT viewer in Leeds. Flavio wants to know if anybody else here is in Texas. Max is in Moscow. Jacob's in Missouri. Frank is in Kansas City, where it's also getting hot. Carlos says it's very hot in Miami. Fidel says it's raining in Memphis. Oh, you're lucky. Daniel says it's over 100. He's in Texas. Let's see here. Guto says Little London in Brazil. Jose is also in Texas, in El Paso. Rodolfo is on South Padre Island with some refreshing watermelon. Hey, Gwen D, thanks for joining. Karen's dad lives in Texas, so that's close. Evan's watching from Ohio, as usual. Let's see here. Matt's in Seattle, where it's raining. It's very nice of you all to say hi to Gwen. You guys are all so nice to each other. Yusuf is finishing schoolwork at home in Toronto. Let's see here. I'll do like 2 or more. Christian says it's hot AF in Houston. Angel's in gloomy upstate New York, I guess. Hey, Gwen. RRK65 says it's getting dark now in the Netherlands because you guys are across the globe, so it's, of course, different times of day. All right. So we have some really great stories to talk about today. Now, you might have thought, let me mark it. Where's my thing? All right, so you might have been like, hey, wait a minute, Grace. Why wouldn't you make a video about discussion about the Batman introducing the Joker? Well, it's really early days, and it's still a rumor. I think that it's like not even so much, like the most interesting thing about it is that there might be some hints at the Joker. Oh yeah, you're right, I didn't do the boop. I'll do the boop on the next one. Okay, so the idea is that there might, to me, the most interesting thing about this rumor, again, it's a rumor, is that Matt Reeves might introduce the Joker like through like Easter eggs and maybe some like hushed discussion in the first Batman movie, which of course was just filming when the coronavirus hit and now unfortunately is on a break. So the idea is that he would be the big bad for the second and third film in a planned trilogy. Now, okay, so to me, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I mean, yes, it's very far away, as Evan Moore's pointing out. Like, it's a long time away from this, okay? Now, so they're not going to actually have a Joker character in Matt Reeves as the Batman. That's very important. They haven't cast it. They're not going to show anybody. It's just going to be like the groundwork will be laid. That to me is the most interesting. And that makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Like, first off, let's see how this movie does. Like, if it doesn't do well, it's not going to continue. So I think let's not get ahead of ourselves. Also, of course, it's going to expand on the Rogues Gallery because it's going to build its own Batman universe. I mean, as I've told you before, I've heard from sources that the Batman is not a period piece. There was a rumor that the Batman would take place in the 90s, 10 years after the Joker movie that just came out. I've heard that's not true. It's totally current day. I think that's a little awkward that Robert Pattinson would stand alongside Gal Gadot and then maybe Henry Cavill, who's sticking around, and be the new Batman, and so only Ben Affleck would be replaced. And I don't know how they would react since they interacted with Ben Affleck. I mean, they interacted with Ben Affleck in previous films. I think they'd be like, oh, I was talking to someone else wearing a bat suit, so that was kind of weird. I mean, Robert Pattinson actually is around the same age as Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, but he looks much younger, so he doesn't really seem like a contemporary. So a little weird, right? So the question is, will there be 3 Jokers? Does that mean that we're going to have Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix, and now a new Joker? Well, Leto, I think, is being phased out unless somehow the Ayer cut comes in and they keep him. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to. I don't think Leto is going to continue, especially if it depends if the Batman does well. Let's see how the Batman does. Let's see how the Snyder Cut does. Is this a mess? Yes, it's a mess. Just as Max said, it's a mess. It's definitely a mess. But this is the world that we live in, and so we just have to figure it out. I don't know who would want the role, quite frankly, after Joaquin Phoenix just won an Oscar for it. I don't know who would want to take on that role. I mean, Jared Leto won an Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar. It ruined Leto's career. I don't know who would want to touch it, to be honest with you. I've seen some people say on Twitter today, oh yeah, you're right. Cannot think of a username, said Billy Skarsgård. He'd be interesting. I think he's a little uneven in his talent. I don't know. The rumor about Johnny Depp is just a fan rumor. He's not at all in talks to be the Joker. That's straight rumor. Kristen Stewart is the Joker, says Rodrigo. It's interesting. One of you tweeted me and said you'd like to see the Flashpoint Martha Wayne as the Joker storyline, which is actually pretty interesting. But I just think it would be tough to bring the Joker in here. I just think that I don't know how they would progress with this. So I think it's like, that's why I'm not making a standalone video about it. It's just such early days. We don't know what direction we're going in here. I just think it's just too early. And I think, pretty obvious that they need a new Joker for Robert Pattinson's Batman. But I mean, like, is Robert Pattinson going to continue? Where is the movie going to loop in with the other ones? It's just too soon. So anyway, I just think that, a nerdy girl says, I don't want the Joker, I want Two-Face. I mean, that's a good point. I think a lot of us would like to see some other villains get some screen time. Like, do you guys want a new Joker? I'd be curious. Danny says, Grace, Batman needs a Joker. I think he does. Karen says, I want another Rogue Gallery villain. Any other one. That's funny. I mean, because we're getting the Riddler and Penguin in this movie. Brian, I would like to see Joaquin Phoenix return for a sequel in his movie, but I don't think we need another. Yeah, you guys, hey, Sam Nelson, thanks for joining. Yeah, I think everybody's like, let's just chill for a little bit on the Joker. Yeah, I would like to see, a number of you are saying Poison Ivy. Where is Poison Ivy? She's such a great character. They should be doing more with her. I would love to see Poison Ivy, take another crack at live action. A lot of people liked what Uma Thurman did. I think that's only because she was the only, acceptable thing in that movie, in Batman and Robin. I don't think she was a great Poison Ivy, to be honest with you. I think people liked her who weren't familiar with Poison Ivy. It was kind of like a Birds of Prey situation, where critics liked it because they were like, I'm not familiar with this character. And anyone who read comics was like, what the heck is this? So I think that's the situation. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, take this with a huge grain of salt. I don't think even Warner Brothers knows what they're doing. I think it's good that Matt Reeves is thinking ahead. I think that's his job. He needs to do it. But that's all that it is. So I'll certainly make a video and I'll be looking for Joker Easter eggs when the movie comes out or when the trailers start to hit. But that's as far as we're going right now. All right, so that's the first story of the day. So yeah. Joker, so overexposed, but so is Batman. Everybody loves these characters for a reason. All right, so hold on, I'll get the boop for you. If you're new, this is the sound effect I make when I go from story to story. All right, so hold on, let me get to it. All right, boop. All right, that's a good one. Okay, all right, so the next story of the day is that Universal is crazy. Universal was like, as we discussed, they were like, we're all in on digital movies. Hey June, thanks for joining. Universal's like, we're owned by a cable company. We have a cable executive who's now in charge of the film division and releasing. I'm glad you guys are booping along with me. And they're like, we're really into this new format of releasing things on digital. So of course they did Trolls World Tour. Check Film Fantastic brought to my attention that Tony Todd, who played the original Candyman, is in the sequel, has said that Candyman, which is set to open September 25th, it's being teased that it will be a day-and-date release theatrically and digitally. That's nuts. That's like, movie theaters are going to just explode. They're going to just go crazy about that news. But then the reason I even put this in today is that today Universal released a trailer for a Jason Blum movie that's going to come out on streaming the very next Friday. So this Friday they have The King of Staten Island from Universal. And then the Friday after they're releasing another movie, which is this horror movie that stars Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried. I checked out the trailer. Universal's a little tricky with their trailers, so I didn't react to it. It looked okay to me, actually, especially for a movie that you can watch at home. I was like, I'll kind of watch that. So, although Check Film Fantastic, somebody responded to your tweet and said the test screenings for Candyman have not been good, which would be unfortunate for everybody involved if that was the case. I think people would go, though. But, I mean, okay, let me ask you this. Candyman's a big movie, all right? If Candyman was playing day and date, you could either go to a theater and see it or you could buy it at home. So you could pay for either the movie ticket, which will be cheaper, or you could buy the movie for $20 for just to buy the movie. What would you do? Would you go to see the movie in theaters or would you watch it at home? Let's just take a quick informal poll. Lloyd would buy it at home. We have one theater person from Adam. Some of you want the experience, which I think is a good call. Although it's seeming, the home thing seems to be about 2/3. Some of you don't want to watch it at all, though, which I'm surprised about. It's Jordan Peele. I mean, he didn't direct it, but he produced it. Oh, Pyromatic Idiot says, I'll wait for reviews. Drive-in theater, some of you have that as an option. Jacob says, a horror movie is meant to be seen in the theater. I agree on that. Natasha says, at home, I can't get my family to go to the movies anyway. Rodolfo says, the theater with two face masks on. Yeah, you want to be double scared? That's very interesting to me. Very interesting. I think it looks like maybe it's a good idea for them to release it in a video. I think a lot of you would probably watch it more than you would at the theater. Fascinating. All right, so anyway, this You Should Have Left movie stars, again, Kevin Bacon, who lost all his money when he and his wife, Kyra Sedgwick, invested with Bernie Madoff. So he's been taking a lot of gigs that maybe he otherwise wouldn't have taken because he's got to make money again. So he's starring here. He and Amanda Seyfried have a daughter, and they're at the end of the trailer. It's really weird. They're like, "Oh, you were accused of a crime, and everyone hates you, but you were found innocent by a jury." And so you're like, "Is the house punishing him?" So it's interesting. David Cope is the writer and director of this. Now, he and Kevin Bacon worked together before on Stir of Echoes. Did anybody remember that old movie? I remember that I saw it and I thought it was pretty good, but I don't at all remember what it was about at all. But it was okay. I mean, if this was Stir of Echoes level, I would be happy. Juan says you can't cover your face and with your hands because of coronavirus. That's true. I do like to hide my eyes. I'll just have to look down. And then I'm like, well, then what am I doing here? Nats the Ninja remembers Stir of Echoes and enjoyed it. I mean, look, David Cope is like a really, really, really unreliable screenwriter. Sometimes he writes stuff and he works on projects where you're like, you worked on Jurassic Park, you must be awesome. And then you're like, oh, but you also wrote Mordecai. Oh my God. So that's what I mean by wildly uneven. I thought the trailer was okay. Again, it comes out next Friday. I did write Universal. I got the press release and I said, hey, I mean, they were very aggressive at giving out screeners for King of Staten Island. I didn't even have to ask. They were like, here you go. And I was like, yay. But with this, I was like, hey, am I getting a screener for this? And they were like, we've noted your interest. We'll let you know if we decide to make it available for review. So we'll see. They don't have to. If that's the case, I'll just get up on Friday morning and watch it and then review it. But I'll have a breakfast horror movie. But it looks pretty well filmed. I mean, it's Jason Blum. I don't think Jason Blum's ever made a horrible movie. So I think there's some quality control there. Who here's planning to watch You Should Have Left? Okay, 2 questions. The first is, who's planning to watch The King of Staten Island on Friday from Universal? Let's do that first. Who's watching The King of Staten Island on Friday? Luke, Kevin Bacon lost all of his money because Bernie Madoff had a period scheme and he invested with him. So, okay, not a lot of people watching King of Staten Island. Yeah, I was surprised the lack of interest in the review. Yeah, I think Pete Davidson has no draw. Okay, so no, like no, none of you were watching it. So bad. Although Mika pointed out Fantasy Island from Jason Blum was horrible. All right, who's gonna watch You Should Have Left with Kevin Bacon next Friday on June 19th? All right, so now I'm waiting for you guys to go in for this new movie on the 19th. No, a lot of Universal's just putting out duds. It looks like. Glayley's gonna watch it though, horror fan. I'm seeing some maybes. Yeah, this is 2 weeks out. You don't know how desperate you'll be then. A lot of no's. Should I review it? Maybe I won't even review it. Let me see if I get a screener. Although there's nothing happening, I should review it. I like that Danny says not a chance. Like it's not going to happen under any circumstances. That's hilarious. Yes, we're doing an Artemis Fowl watch-along party on Friday, for sure. So I'm very excited about that. I'll be watching it twice this week. I'm excited. I hope it's good. All right, so that's the second story of the day. All right, so let me go to the third story. Hold on. All right. Boop. All right, let's talk about Hartley Sawyer, who I had no idea who he was until today. So today I saw a headline, and a number of you sent it to me, that Hartley Sawyer, who apparently plays Ralph Dibny, aka Plastic Man, he's very stretchy. He's basically like Mrs. Incredible. He got fired from The Flash today. They said, we don't want to work with you. Greg Berlanti, Warner Brothers, they were like, you're fired. So what did he do? Well, before he got on this series, he apparently made some really racist and misogynistic tweets. Like really bad ones. And he deleted his Twitter account. Oh yeah, Elongated Man. Who's Plastic Man? Is he in Marvel? So many characters. All right, so anyway, he deleted his Twitter account. But people had the receipts. They had the screen grabs. And so he apologized. And he said, I was just trying to be funny. He pulled a James Gunn. He said, I tried to make a joke, but nobody thought it was funny. And I didn't think, now looking back, I don't think it's funny. And I'm sincerely sorry. But he still got fired. He got fired. I totally think he should have been fired. It's the second person to have been fired. People really have to watch their social media. But anyway, Dick Wolf actually fired somebody who was the executive producer who had just joined one of his shows, who on Facebook posted a picture that he was going to shoot looters. And that was pretty horrible. So he got fired. So I think that James Gunn, I don't understand why James Gunn was forgiven. Somebody said James Gunn makes a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. They were like, we need James, and also Warner Brothers went and hired him. I mean, I don't know. I still have mixed feeling as to whether or not Disney should have hired him back. I mean, everybody was vouching for him, James Gunn. So I understand that's important to think of. But I still feel it's pedophilia jokes with a Disney company. I think that's like, But yeah, I guess James Gunn has a following. But it seems like the same thing to me, quite frankly. So I think that consistency is really important here when you hold people accountable. If you're not consistent, well, then what are you doing? I think it's the same thing with Twitter and there being whether or not they're going to they're going to flag tweets as being wrong. I'm like, you got to flag all the tweets. You can't just pick and choose. Either you're flagging tweets or you're not. So I think that's really important. Liam says James Gunn was forgiven because his fan base can cause trouble. Yeah, these other people are nobodies and no one cares if they get fired. So, I mean, yeah. I feel like, I think we have to take a stance as to what's the level of time that passes. Because, Mark Wahlberg had the same problem over the weekend. He did some horrible things. He actually went to jail for hate crimes. But you have to wonder, did Mark Wahlberg serve his time? Are people not capable of being reformed? If James Gunn can be reformed, why can't Mark Wahlberg be reformed? It's very difficult. And I'm not saying I have the answers, but I feel like this conversation is not really that's not really also the time for it, but it's really weird. It's a crazy situation. Yeah, Ethan, go read Mark Wahlberg's Wikipedia page for crimes, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I mean, he has spoken about it, as Lauren pointed out. He did serve time, but he did do it. And so I think you have to wonder, what is the statute of limitations? Can people be reformed? What's everybody's point of view on that? I think it's really crazy. I think, oh, Alex says, what are my thoughts on J.K. Rowling? Ah, man, that's like, I was like, should I cover that? I think J.K. Rowling, I think that I understand where she's coming from about not wanting to erase women's experiences, but I don't think anyone's trying to do that. I think that she got upset that someone was talking about people who menstruate instead of saying women. But I'm like, but I get that though. I understand that people who are transgender and don't menstruate don't want to think of themselves as not being women because it's so important to them. And I wouldn't want to exclude them. So I understand that. I don't think anyone's trying to erase gender. So I think J.K. Rowling like made a big deal about nothing. I think that some people are trying. I think gender is a complicated situation. I don't want to be so focused on gender either. I think that from like a life experience perspective, sometimes it's not so great. But I think that, I think J.K. Rowling mixed in on something that is not an issue. And she just made a big fuss like for no reason. So I don't understand why she did that. All right, so that's my point. I know, everybody, these are very hot topic issues. I'm working, it's very hard to cover them. But I'm trying to have, to be, I think it's really important to consider where everybody else is coming from. I just think it's very important. I'll tell you something interesting. Do you know that in Hollywood, almost every big company has to specify their gender pronouns? I did not know that. I was talking about somebody this weekend, because I was talking about the J.K. Rowling situation, and they pointed out to me, that's very sweet of you to say, Nathan. That's really nice of you. The Disney, you have to, I talked to several people about this. So Disney, you have to specify your pronouns when you work at Disney. Every single person has to specify your pronouns. Now, if you work also at the agencies, because I was talking to someone else, so this is how the conversation evolved. I was talking to one friend, and I said, what do you think of this J.K. Rowling situation? Because I was saying David Ayer specifies his pronouns. And I'm like, who doesn't know what David Ayer's pronouns are? I think that was a bit much. So then my friend said, well, actually at Disney, everybody has to specify their pronouns. And I was like, really? That's amazing. And they said that's because Disney doesn't want to get sued. They don't want to get sued for being insensitive. So it's very, very important that they know what you want to be addressed as. And I was like, oh, I see. And then I was talking to another friend who works in the business, and I said, did you hear what Disney does? And they said, oh yeah, I know that whenever I talk to somebody at the agencies and I get emails from them, they also have to specify their pronouns. So that's why you have to always be open-minded. Like when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know if that's necessary. But then after just talking to two people, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. All right, that makes sense to me. So it's very interesting, very, very interesting to me to see how things progress and why they do. It's like the whole defund the police thing that's going on right now. Just on a side note, I think that's very poorly phrased. It doesn't mean what it sounds like it means. It's just not being well explained. So that's like another whole conversation. This is getting too political. Let's move on to the viewer question section of the video. All right? I'll just repeat one thing. This is some advice I gave a month or so ago about people. And I said, it's something that's important to keep in mind that I think will help you understand how to relate to people, is that nobody can control what body they're born into or where on the earth they start. No one can control that. And I think you should always be very mindful of that and what people are dealing with. And sometimes they're born into the wrong body, and sometimes, they find themselves in a bad part of the world. Like that's why when you look at immigration and you're like, this is, if people have a bad reaction to that, they should be like, well, what would you do if you were born in the middle of a war zone? Would you stay there? I think you have to think about that. I think that's really, really important. And that's a good way to have yourself have more compassion. All right. Yes, unicorns everywhere. If you don't know what if you're like a new member, you don't know what that means. I so rarely talk about politics that it's like seeing a unicorn. And so that's what it is. And so I think all different types of people like entertainment. I myself am a moderate. I see both sides. I try to be compassionate to everybody and understand where everyone's coming from. And so I try not to be political as well. So sometimes I occasionally get political. All right. So yes, have a rose. It's just a whole herd of unicorns, a whole herd of them. All right, let me get rid of the marker. All right, so it's 4:35. You can ask me anything you'd like until 4:45. I don't have to answer you, but you can ask it. All right. Jordan says, "How do you think? What do you think of Harley Quinn so far, specifically episode 10?" I have no idea what episode numbers are. I'm a week ahead of you guys. I think it's fantastic. When Harley Quinn is done, season 2, I will cover the whole season as a review, but I will also cover the Harley and Ivy relationship specifically because I think it's being so well handled. I would take the people who work on the Harley Quinn animated series and put them in charge of the movie, any future movies with Harley Quinn. That's how good I think it is. Gwen is a new member and she has a question about John Boyega is worried about his career. I don't think John Boyega should be worried. Here's the thing. John Boyega said that he was nervous about what he said in terms of Black Lives Matter in his speech in the UK. I don't think he has to be worried about that at all. I think he did a great job and he stood up for what he believed in. I think what he said that was wrong was, "You ain't gonna Disney Plus me." That was really bad. That was so bad. I think his career was in a bad place because of that. Never say anything negative about your employer. Don't be a loose cannon. It's very, very bad. People don't seem to get this. Nobody wants to work with somebody who they feel is going to turn around and potentially stab them in the back. Bye, Jaden. So I think that was the problem that he had. So we'll see if this was enough to maybe make everybody forget about that. And also, everybody likes to go and tweet, "Oh, I'd love to work with you," but let's see if anybody actually hires them. That's where you have to look to see if there's an actual headline. That's what's important. You know, you can't be all talk. Evan, I'm not going to review The Politician season 2 because I just don't think anybody's watching that. Also, somebody just said only Ricky Gervais can get away with that. I don't think Ricky Gervais even really gets away with it too much. I think people are nervous around him as well. Because think about it. I once was talking to somebody about Jessica Chastain. And I said, "Why do you let her tweet so much? Why don't you tell her that she's hurting your movie?" And he said, the person, I'm not going to reveal who it was, said, "Well, there's a concern that if I asked her to like kind of dial it back a little bit, she would tweet that. And that would be really bad." So that lack of trust, you don't want someone to feel they can't give you a note and then that you're going to go and slap like something on it that is really damaging to them that isn't at all their intention anyway. So that's what's like I think people have to keep in mind. And also, it's important to realize that she puts herself in a bad situation that people don't feel they can give her good advice because it'll come back and hurt them. Lena says, "Do you think we'll get the final Wonder Woman 1984 trailer this month?" I think we'll get the trailer when they lock in its release date. So probably not. It's not coming out until August. So I don't think you'll get it until July. I also heard that they're holding, a lot of people were putting out a thing saying with JC, you know, something about the Snyder Cut in late July and it coincides with Comic-Con at home. I heard from somebody, one of my inside people, that Warner Brothers has asked Zack Snyder to hold off on promoting the Snyder Cut until Wonder Woman can breathe, as I recently told you, because they don't want people to like not pay attention to Wonder Woman, which is actually coming out. So I think like the Snyder Cut publicity is waiting on Wonder Woman publicity, and Wonder Woman publicity is waiting on Tenet. So once Tenet is locked in on a date and Wonder Woman can be locked in on a date, all this other stuff can start to like be a thing. Liam says, "Is there anything interesting in the boxes? It's been piquing my interest." Oh, the boxes behind me? That's some shoes that I haven't had a chance to put away. They're summer shoes, and I haven't had a chance to wear them either. And then behind them is like my mountain of coronavirus care. I had to order so much bulk paper towels and bathroom tissue and disinfecting wipes and facial tissue that I have nowhere to put it. So it's a giant mountain back there. That's what it is. I wish I could hide it from you, but there's that much of it. Let's see here. Evan says, what's my favorite book series? I really just read comic books. I'm not really into reading books. I don't read books because they take too much of my time up. Lloyd, my Disney face masks have not arrived, but they weren't supposed to come until mid-June. Have yours come? Have yours come? Famous Amos says, put a blanket over it. I could put this one, I guess, over it. Jordan, you're not going to get a WandaVision trailer till you get a Falcon Winter Soldier trailer, so we have some time. Let's see here. Oh, Portis too! We just spoke to Portis yesterday. Thoughts on the Tenet cast saying they have no idea what the movie is about. Well, do they mean it? Or are they just trying to keep it a secret for all of us? That's bad if they don't know what it's about. I would be like, you got to sit us down and tell us what the movie's about. We're in it. The Movie Lover says, what's your favorite sitcom? I really like the Goldbergs. I used to like the Goldbergs, but then it got into like annoying funny, and I don't like when they have annoying situations for me personally that they try to make us funny. The sitcom that I like the most right now, it's not on right now because it's in reruns because, they can't film. But my favorite sitcom that's current is Mom with Allison Janney and Anna Faris. And it's actually not at all about really being a parent. It's more about women in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I think that's really wonderful. We have 3 more minutes. Bye, Lisa. Enjoy your nap. I'm pretty tired today, too, actually. Let's see here. Matthew, I haven't heard any updates about a half season, only that they were considering it. Oh. Mike says, Grace, is there any chance that Taskmaster is a Skrull? Anyone could be a Skrull. Anybody. I'm excited. I hope that they do have a female director take over for Captain Marvel, who does a better job. Although the duo who worked on the first film did Mrs. America, and that was great. I don't know why it was so bad. Captain Marvel's not bad, but it's not particularly well directed. But I would love to see a female director go, because I was upset that Patty Jenkins, there was a quote someone sent me that Patty Jenkins turned down a Justice League movie. I would like to see a woman director take on a big major movie and be excited about it and do a great job. That would be wonderful to me. What did Chris Pratt do now? No updates on Mulan yet, Christian. Just again, that they're considering it, and I think they'll make their decision soon. I could be a Skrull, you're right, AD. I think they just, again, they don't know when movie theaters are even opening. There's no idea when New York theaters are opening. And I think that's, of course, important. Erwin, you're right. Chloe Zhao on the Eternals. Let's see how that works out. But that's a team movie, but I'm talking like an Avengers movie or like a big crossover, like a big film. You can't just keep asking me about Chris Pratt thoughts, Mika. I don't know what he did. Oh, Phil, I was considering talking about how the Chernobyl director is now going on Last of Us. They have the writer, Craig Mazin, but now one of his directors from Chernobyl is also going to work on The Last of Us. I mean, I thought that Chernobyl until the last episode was amazing. So I think I wouldn't mind recreating that creative team. Famous Amos, I don't know if Deborah Chow's that good. I don't know. I don't know yet. I think she has potential, but I'm not 100% convinced. Hey, Darth Sidious. We have about 1 more minute. So Darth Sidious, if you have a question, I'll look for it in particular. Chris Pratt got married? He was already married. Hey, Dwanetti. No Black Widow news right now. So who just joined? Dwanetti. And who is the other person? Darth Sidious. I'm looking for your questions. If you have a question, favorite Robin, Nacho? Damian Wayne. 1,000%. I love Damian Wayne. It's so great. He should be half Middle Eastern, though. I agree with people. Oh, it's his wedding anniversary. Did he do something did he tweet something about it? I mean, that's nice. I'll tell you a pet peeve. I don't like it when people go on red carpets with their spouses and make you take photos with them and interview both of them. I'll never forget that I was at the New York Film Festival, and I had to interview Robert Zemeckis. And I mean, I was excited to. And then he brought his wife along. And his wife, you know, she was very beautiful. She was dressed like in a very revealing dress. So you were like, okay. And so they took all their pictures together. And when I'm editing videos, I'm always like, people are going to wonder who this other person in the picture is. I just want a picture of the talent. So that was frustrating. But then Robert Zemeckis was like, hey, you want to interview me? I'm going to interview you with my arm around my wife. And it was really awkward because I was like, I didn't know she was going to be in the interview. So I had no questions for her. She's not really in the business and certainly not working. So I didn't know, you know, there's nothing to ask her. So it was really weird. I was just like, because I don't want to be rude and ignore her, but it was just very odd. So it's bad red carpet etiquette. Dwayne says, amazing, Dwayne D. Hi. I don't see a question from Darth Sidious. I probably missed it while I was talking about how my Robert Zemeckis situation. What's for dinner? Brian, I'm going to have some pizza, and I'm going to watch Bill and Ted, the first one, because I want to refresh it in my memory because the trailer comes out tomorrow for the third film. Darth Sidious, why am I not? Do you have something? I feel bad if I've missed it, so put it in again. I'm looking. I'm going to go and work on my WandaVision video in a minute, but I feel you guys just joined. I don't want you to be. There is a stream tomorrow, though, of course, at 4. Okay. Darth Sidious says, what's going on in a minute, Grace? That's a great question. I got to go finish editing my WandaVision video and post that, and then I'm going to get ready for the evening. I got to really focus on my schedule. I stay up too late, and then I don't get up on time, and I have to be up definitely tomorrow because this Bill and Ted trailer is dropping, and also the Punchline comics are dropping, so I got to be on top of it. So I really got to make sure I get to sleep on time. I'm really bad at it. It's bad. It's a problem. Let's see here. All right, I guess I'll get going. I'm glad I didn't see anything from our other new member. I think I did. We did interact, though, so that was nice. It's so nice to have so many people joining me. Everybody who just tuned in and didn't become a member, no worries. I'm so glad that you're here. It's really wonderful to have so many people to join for these conversations. If you can become a member, it's very helpful to me, particularly during this pandemic. It's about, I think, $7 a month, around that price point. Some of it goes to YouTube, some of it goes to me. But I just really enjoy these conversations that we're able to have. I think they're a lot of fun. And I'm glad I fixed my audio problem, and we're having a really good time on this. So just remember, also, there will be a watch-along on Friday for Artemis Fowl, and I'll be telling you the time for that soon. Okay, everybody, have a great afternoon, and that other video will go up in about an hour or so. Okay, bye.